Alright, so Wolnez came by this morning and last night. Sorry, this morning and yesterday, pulling his bullshit. Much like Tim Beeson. Of course, Tim Beeson is absolutely a rapist. Just like Ted Bollinger. Not just a rapist, but an incestuous rapist. It's real gross. But Ted Bollinger thinks that's okay. Tim Beeson thinks that's okay. Andrew Wolnez want to go assaulting people because he heard a rumor. Doesn't care if it's true or not. You're wanted for murder in Colorado. Look it up. I'm not wanted for murder, not in Colorado, not in Texas, not in Arizona, not in Washington State. I'm not wanted for murder anywhere. And do you know why? Because I don't fucking kill people. Now let's get to affirmative action. Now, we had a bunch of stuff going on in the 90s with affirmative action. You remember that? Trying to get rights for people with no rights, disabled people being taken advantage of. And guess what? It's still fucking going on. Affirmative action says you got to hire a certain amount of people, right? Some of these businesses will find a lot of money for not hiring the right kind of people. We need to hire a certain amount of women to fill these positions, even if they're not qualified. We need to fill a certain amount of these positions with white people, even if they're not qualified. We need to fill these positions with black people, even if they're not qualified. Except we also realize that doesn't work, does it? In Chapel, Nebraska, or Sydney, Nebraska, I should say. It's a little bit bigger town. Now, let's say you're in Sydney, Nebraska, and you work for Cabela's. There ain't a whole lot of foreign people in the area. There's also not a lot of black people in the area. Affirmative action, the only way for it to work in Sydney, Nebraska, is for them to literally import black people. You say we got to have at least 5% of the employees black, but there wasn't anything close to approaching that. Now let's look at mail industries. Obviously, Cabela's, being in Nebraska, where there ain't very many black people, that does create a problem, right? Well, what about in Tennessee? Coal mining. You don't have to import women, and affirmative action is for them too, isn't it? Do we have 5% of coal miners being women? No. 1 in 200. All right, less than 1 in 200, but about 1 in 200. That's half of 1%. let's look at the entire construction industry. Could you imagine if affirmative action was followed? If we shut down every single business that doesn't have at least 5% black people working for them, or at least 5% white people working for them, or at least 30% women. That's right, 30% women. I thought that number was a bit excessive. Good luck getting a woman to work in the coal mining industry. Good luck getting a woman to work construction. The reality is, if we followed affirmative action, nobody would be building houses. Your houses would be falling apart because nobody would be allowed to work on them. I'm sorry, sir, but you're not allowed to fix people's houses anymore because, well, you don't have enough women working for you. Can you imagine that? On the bright side, it's still better than Wolnez coming by and harassing me. I wish I was able to find my external speaker. I'd plug it in so you could hear a little bit of the stuff where you can barely hear his voice in the background. Just this morning, he wanted to be a dummy. There is no need for that. I can understand if it's absolutely necessary. I can understand. But none of this was absolutely necessary. None of this bullshit with Wolnez or those racist shits down at the Tillamook Sporting Goods parking lot, nor the situation with Molly or Farnsworth or any of these other asswipes. None of it needed to happen. None of it was necessary. None of the violence from the police was necessary. Let's see. Holy shit, he is going off. Oh, that was right after. So we'll start it at like 42 minutes. There's wolnez. He keeps walking away so I can barely hear him. At least he was going away. Sure be nice if you would use it. I can barely hear him. I'm not sure if you guys are able to. He was going off. All sorts of pissed off that I exist. Poor dude. Now, how many times has this sumbitch assaulted me? A lot. How many times has he kicked my vehicle? A lot. This guy's sick in the fucking head. He ended up on my YouTube channel because he wanted to bully me. So I started recording. Ain't no reason for him to be bullying me. Oh yeah. Actually there is. It's because he's a fucking weakling. He's tiny. I can understand that. I'm not a big guy. I'm not huge. But I stand up to people twice my size. I don't go trying to find somebody who's worse off than me to take my shit out on. What are the chances that Raymond is the one that stole my blanket yesterday? Does it matter? I'll help Raymond out. I don't mind. Yeah, it gets annoying. It gets annoying him coming up and wanting a cigarette every time. I think most of it, though, because he only takes a couple drags and puts it out. I think most of it is that he's lonely and he wants someone to hang out with. Here in America, people are offended by honesty. How dare you tell the truth? That gets a lot of autistic people in trouble because we tend to be more honest than the rest of you. We also tend to be the black sheep because of it. Who's the black sheep of your family? Probably the honest one. The one who's always around, fucking around, screwing things up. Well, you don't go after them the way that you go after the autistic one, do you? You go, oh, well, your older brother fucked up a bunch of stuff, so we're going to take it out on you. Oh, and by the way, your older brother is going to continue to fuck stuff up because we let your older brother get away with everything. But you are going to stay in your room so that you don't end up like your brother. Like, what the fuck kind of thinking is that? We got a lot of people out here in some really bad ways. People in really screwed up situations. And even a few people whose heads don't quite work right. Now, of course, these people believe they should be allowed to do anything to me, whenever the fuck they want. But how dare I stand up to them? How dare I speak up about their abuse? How dare I? Right? Meanwhile, I can't go to the cops because they're even more crooked than wolnez. Unfortunately, them being dumb son of a bitches might get wolnez killed. And I don't want that. I'm nice to people. And there's a lot of people that like me because I'm nice to them. They also see me taking this abuse and they don't like that. There's also a lot of people who said, if I see somebody fucking with you, Sean, I will, and then insert something harmful and dangerous. Most of the time, they say they'd beat them up or shoot them. A lot of people recommend I get some bear mace because he'd never do it again. I've got bear mace. I've never used it. I was told, hey, you should taser him. Well, I got a taser. I can't bring myself to use it on him. I don't want to fucking hurt anybody. I just want him to knock his fucking shit off. However, he's pissed off because he's on my YouTube channel after starting his shit. Oh, well. So then, of course, if I'm not pointing it at him, what does he do? He throws fucking rocks at my vehicle and talks shit as he's going by. What do I do in that instance? I pull out my camera and show it was, in fact, and indeed wolnez. This morning when he was going off, I didn't even get out of the vehicle. I don't make wolnez act like an asshole. Nobody forced him to do what he did. Just like nobody forced those youngins at the Tillamook Sporting Goods parking lot to do what they did. Nobody forced them. Now, I've been forced to do a lot of stuff that was against my best interest and against the best interest of my loved ones. People threatening to kill my friends and family is not something that I'm just going to be quiet about. There also seems to be a lot of people who magically end up with cancer, but never die of it. Leukemia is one of the most popular ones. Leukemia kills you quick. There's a lot of people who have told me that they got leukemia as their excuse for not coming forward and telling the truth. It's because most of these people were gaslighting me. They were not interested in helping. It was entertainment to them. And oh my God, my back is fucking killing me. Having to deal with actual predators while they pretend that I'm a predator is an excuse to do shit that's predatory. Yeah, that's not the brightest thing they could do. You do fucked up shit to me, what's to stop me from doing it back? Well, the fact that I'm a nice guy, I'm really not. See, I get to read this nice guy bullshit. And nice girls, too. What happens when you tell one of those people no? What happens when you tell Natalie Bollinger no? What happens when you tell Alicia Bollinger no? What happens when you tell Tim Beeson to knock his shit off? What happens when you tell Wolnez to leave you the fuck alone? Does it work? No. And did I have help? No, I had people wasting my time, wasting my money, wasting my energy. As long as it's not happening to them, it's fine. And that's how many of these people view it. When people want to pretend that that shit's happening to their friends and family, well, I want proof. I want proof that this shit's happening. I've got proof of my predators. I've also got proof that there's a lot of fucking sick shits in this world who wanted to pretend to give a shit. But it's just pretending. Sorry, I'm trying to make it brittle. Watch this. Oh, I didn't make it brittle enough. That's all right. I do fight hard to try to get assisted termination of life legal, and there's a reason for it. I can't trust the cops to do their jobs. The courts don't give a shit about any of us. They care about money. Who's most likely to win in court? The one with the most money. Do you know why divorce courts so often side with women in custody battles? Because without those children, those women wouldn't have an income. It's a way to make the state stick a man with the bill. We see a lot of men in construction industries, in dangerous industries. We see them overwhelmingly in force. When you want to say, oh, well, there's females out there that are plumbers and there's female electricians, you're right. There's just not enough to go around. If we could get, well, let's say it like this. We get to hear this kill all men bullshit all the fucking time now, don't we? Yep. What would happen if you killed all men? What would happen to the coal power plants? Women would just magically figure something up? No, they wouldn't. It takes time to put infrastructure in place. Oh, well, we're smarter than men. We'll just do it nuclear. Well, we've got nuclear stuff already. We're still dependent upon coal. And how many women work in those nuclear power plants? How many? What are the chances that they could prevent it from melting down before there's a major issue? Let's say all men died today. Let's say a plague comes down and it kills all men within 15 minutes and all of us are dead. Where are they going to get the coal? Where are women going to get the coal? We've only taken out half the population in this scenario. But it's the half that's in charge of all of our heavy industry. I don't mean in charge as in somebody at the top is a male. That doesn't matter. Whether it's a male at the top or a female at the top, it's the grunt that gets the job done. And maybe it was you that decided that you needed a tree cut down in your backyard. Maybe it was your wife. In either event, it is very likely that it's a man who's going to come and chop that tree down for you. Maybe a few men. Now, we've got so much going on today. Just in repairs, we can't keep everybody. We're losing out a lot in the job markets, but the trade skills are always important. If you got a blocked sewer main, you still need somebody to go out there and fix that shit. If you got a clogged toilet, you still need a sewer snake once in a while. Get them little white mice out. That's a plumber's term for tampons. Little white mice. You get just a little bit of something in that pipe, and those little white mice clog it up. And then you got women calling you up saying, I don't know what the kids put in the toilet. And you get down to the other end and you get it all out of there and you go, it wasn't the kids. So how many of these industries, if we could get 30% women in these industries before a plague destroys all men on the planet, well then yeah, maybe there's a possibility. But we also have to look at work performance. And you say it's not fair to compare a woman's work performance to a man's. Well, why not? Who's better for the position? Would you rather have 4 guys at a table all focused on the project at hand? Or would you rather have 2 men focused on the project at hand and 2 women who want to gossip and talk about themselves and talk about their neighbors? Women on a construction site tend to be a detriment to everyone on the site. And I do mean that. There's a lot of women that I know. For a guy, you stay busy all day, the day goes quickly. For a lot of the women that I know, they don't see it that way. If they're not busy gossiping with other women, they'll find a man to try to gossip to. And many of the women that I know will complain about men not gossiping with them. I don't understand. I was just trying to have a conversation. No, you're gossiping. Most dudes don't want to hear your gossip. A lot of men have plenty of money. They could retire if it was just them. But they go to work every day so they don't have to sit around and listen to the gossip. Then, of course, there's all the stuff that you drag men to. You want to show off your husband. You want to show off your boyfriend. So you got all this stuff that you volunteer him to do for you and to do for others. We kind of get sick and tired of being used as slaves. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And no matter what it is that we do, it's that way. Now, Jamie Curtis had to create a scenario whereby she had to be afraid of James Payton. And so did her son. And what ended up happening with that? She went back to James Payton and also had her son involved in those fucking head games. Why is it that children who grow up in single mother households are more likely to get in trouble with the law? It's because they're more likely to see that there's no consequences. You're taught you're supposed to feel sorry for your mom, feel sorry for your mom, feel sorry for your mom. What the hell for? What's she doing other than mooching off the state and mooching off your dad? What are you learning about the world that you live in? You're learning how to manipulate others. You're not learning how to build a goddamn thing. One woman told me, well, if we got rid of all men, we'd go back to Wicca. I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? Wicca, you mean witchcraft that was invented in 1936. All right, whatever. You think the celestial bodies are going to magically align after men are gone, right? The zodiac is magically going to be repaired or some crap like that. The aliens will come back if there's no men. I have heard all sorts of cockamamie, crazy fucking conspiracy theory bullshit. At this point, it don't matter if you're telling me about Santa Claus, the Jesus, the Quran, and Muhammad, aliens, or the goddamn Keister Bunny. It's all imagination. All of it. People made that shit up, and then you go right along with it. I'm not saying there's no possibility of aliens, and I'm not saying there's no possibility of a God. I'm not saying that there's zero possibility of there having ever been a jolly old Saint Nick. What I'm saying is that your fucking fantasy is as far from reality as it gets. If your neighbor gets fucked up on methamphetamines, sees your daughter and rapes your daughter, why did that happen? Was it Santa Claus? Did God will it? Is that what it is? You gonna tell her she just needs to give it to Jesus? Oh, just ignore him. Just ignore him. Yeah, you guys don't really translate the rules the same on your side as you do on our side. Well, women are 5 times more likely to beat on their children, 30 times more likely to initiate violence in a relationship, 11 times more likely to be stalkers. That's not what we listen to, is it? No, we listen to bias. And we have shown that the police have bias and the courts have bias against men across the board. Women are more likely to be murderers. Yeah. Especially of children. We've also come to realize recently that women are more likely to be sexual predators than men. Women are especially more likely to take advantage of youth. They're also a lot more likely to kill children. If these folk was really woke, they'd stop selling this tired bullshit. It's not that things are underreported by men, it's that it's impossible to report it as a man, especially if you're broke. And who are people most likely to take their shit out on? The most likely victim in this country for murder is a man, not a woman. Studies have shown that 80% of female stalkers twist and manipulate others into it. And that's the problem with being a man. You're told you're on your own, and that's not how it should be. Also, people got into my vehicle twice in under 24 hours. Yesterday, somebody got into my vehicle to take my blanket. And after taking my blanket, what'd they do? All the stuff that was on my blanket, they put on top of my vehicle, except for what fell out when they were trying to cross the road. And this morning was just the opposite. Instead of people stealing my stuff, people put stuff in my vehicle. Like this blanket here. And these gloves here. The blanket was brand new. Never been used. If I was to guess who put it here, I really couldn't. It could be Kristen, could have been Paul, might have been Joe, or Joel, or Skylar. Could be any number of people. Hell, it might have been Andrew Wolnez who put this shit in my car. I find it highly unlikely, but I guess it's a possibility. Just like there's a possibility that aliens will come fill in all these positions as coal miners, nuclear engineers, house builders, framers, cement workers, roofers. There's a possibility that Shanty Claus or the Keister Bunny might show up and do those jobs. When it comes to road construction, there are females who do road construction more than a lot of other industries, and that's because of the flagging job. One of the most dangerous jobs in America, oddly. All you got to do is stand there with a sign, listen to the radio, and flip the sign when you're told to. It's a bit more to it than that. You actually have to take a flagging course before you're even allowed to do that. But there are a lot of women who go to Labor Ready and they say, you know what? Because you're a woman, we're going to try to give you a flagging job. That's because it is an easy job. Labor Ready jobs, they don't send you on easy shit. You get somebody who's going to pay you minimum fucking wage for manual labor. That ain't too bright. Paying somebody minimum wage for manual labor. And it tears your body apart. And you get some girl who comes in there and says, oh, poor me, I need a job. What are the two jobs she's most likely to get handed? Either a job as a flagger or a job at the home office. See, when you work for Labor Ready, end of the day, you got to go in and turn in your ticket with a signature that shows that you did show up and work for the day. If you don't get the ticket signed, they don't pay you. They don't care that you did a full day's work. You didn't get a signature. You're not getting paid. Now, with a flagging job or an office job, Labor Ready knows that those women are less likely to quit on the first day. And when you need to have a good reputation with your customers, it's important that you don't have people quitting on the first day all the goddamn time. It's more unsafe for a man in this country than it is for a woman. And then we get but men are rapists. Really? I've never raped anybody. Now, the things that you want to consider rape, I want to ask you, have you ever done those things to a man? Oh, I can't do that. I don't have a penis. Oh. See? You say if he can get it up, then it means that he wanted it. That's pretty fucked up. That thing's pretty sensitive. And I'm not sure if you knew this, but you don't need to think about sex to get an erection. You remember that lady about 6 or 7 years back? She injected that guy with some sort of something so that he'd get it up, and then she smothered him. Yeah, she was horny, and she decided that she was going to do some things as a morbidly obese woman while she had this man captive, and she fucking suffocated him. He died. They'd had a case similar a few years before that. There's a lady named Pearl, and she calls herself a men's rights advocate. She's really not. But once in a while, she does make a good point. But it is also very often that she makes a bad point or says something about herself that's pretty gross. She's into true crime. I wonder how well she would fare taking a look into the Natalie Bollinger situation. I mean, she talks about all the dynamics and all of these horrible things that women do. Claims that she is a men's rights advocate, but what about my rights? They haven't fucking existed. I've got a dick. Where are my rights? They don't exist because I have a dick. Cops don't give two shits about us. Courts don't give two shits about us. And there's just way too much money to be had in taking advantage of us. There's a lot of bills that men are paying that aren't their bills. But these men pay them anyway because the courts make them. I know men who found out that their child wasn't theirs years ago that are still forced to pay child support. How fucked up is that? Thank goodness we do have the technology now that we can do a DNA test before a man is suckered into signing his life away on a birth certificate. So far, we've only got 2 states that have tried to do that. The problem is, with 30 to 40% of women nationwide not knowing who the father of their child is, and a whole bunch of those women being able to sucker a man into believing that he's the father, that man pays those bills. Obviously, there are plenty of those mothers who do work. There's also a whole lot of them that think that being pretty and having kids means that they're entitled to everything that they wanted from their favorite Disney movie. Holy shit. That's just nuts. We live in the real world, not a fucking Disney movie. Now, how do we put a stop to this wolnez bullshit? %, battery, so that means It's going down. I'm going to have to end this video. Hopefully it'll build up a little bit more of a charge. Good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and your sister's too, and no victim left behind.